First off, I am not crazy. I know I am not crazy. I've explained this a million times ad nauseum to friends, family, my command, and doctors. Now, I'm here. After months, I am here, online ranting to strangers. I just can't take it anymore. I want sleep. I want my body to stop, whatever the hell is going on. I just don't know what to do anymore. I know I don't have trichotillomania. I don't. My problems are real despite what my friends or family say. I don't think there is any help for me as I can't stop these hairs from coming out of me. I can't stop pulling them out. I'll explain. It all started last year. I was on deployment, miles away in some god-forsaken desert. A call came over the net. Aerial contact. The radios never squawked. Not on this deployment. Not months into it. I shifted in my chair as my heart began pounding. Aerial contact. The radio buzzed again. West of the DAZ, heading towards MSS Petro. The JTACs in the back perked up. Nothing ever happened at Mission Support Site Petro. Maybe a single mortar once a month, but air? At the time, only the Russians across the Euphrates River had air assets. I missed about 2 minutes worth of chats in the log as I tried to listen to the radio. All stations, this is Tar Heel, aerial contact west of the DAZ, heading toward MSS Petro. Tar Heel was the call sign of the site. I looked to the senior enlisted leader, Blaine. His eyes were open. It was 3 a.m. and one of our outstations was under attack. The 8 of us on night shift began scrambling in the operations center. The JTACs were in the back handling the radio. Chat rooms started to populate with walls of text. 5 WS were being posted in the base defense rooms. Who, what, when, where, why. It was 3 a.m. in the desert and I was cold. Blaine spat tobacco into his cup and brushed his mustache. Only thing west of the DAZ is Russians and militia. I nodded and asked the intel folks to feed me data as the ISR team began to reroute assets closer to the site. Der Az Zor, the DAZ, that area was frequented by ISIS and militia. I called the outstation and asked what he needed. The man on the other end said, air and lots of it. He hung up and I let him. He had his job out there at MSS Petro and I had my job, 1,000 miles away. My mind finally made sense of the messages after a specialist behind me said, "Sir, are you reading the reports?" His voice was frail and it sickened me. Perhaps the Russians finally made their move over the Euphrates. But the message said otherwise. Who, MSS Petro BC? What, unknown object. Amber light 500 feet AGL at 10 kts. Where, west of DAZ, bearing 103 towards MSS Petro. When, 23:59 Why, Unc. Amplifying information, visual contact only. No radar signature or sound observed. Before I could respond, another message appeared. It read, visual contact via eyeballs only. Radar and FLIR are not getting anything. Blaine chewed his tobacco before saying, fucking Russians are going to bomb our boys. But the ISR folks displayed a feed on the central screen in the room. Russian SAMs on the other side of the Euphrates began slewing, following something. No one in the room with me could confirm if it was our aircraft overhead. My blood ran cold thinking I was about to witness the start of World War III. When my phone rang, I nearly jumped. Hey, do you have any air flying west of the DAZ? It was my higher headquarters counterpart. I got a call from the Russians that an aircraft is in their airspace. It's not ours, right? I checked my systems and told him no. Well, he said, Petro is nearby, do they see anything? I gave him the 5 Ws and told him our sensors are just detecting the Russians training their air defense on something too. While we had ISR overhead on our side of the Euphrates, no one was seeing anything other than the Russians and our forces scrambling their air defenses. Okay, my counterpart said, we'll open the strike bridge just in case. He hung up and a separate phone rang. The strike bridge. Something was going to die when that net was activated. I couldn't stop shaking. The look on everyone's face was beyond concern. Perhaps it was fear. I, along with everyone else in the room, did our routine for events such as this. Seconds felt like hours. Blaine was going around the room making sure everyone was feeding me information. I had the sensors scan as I pulled information from MSS Petro. People on the ground pointed at nothing. The sensor operator tried to find a target but instead found the ruins of houses. Sweat began to bead on my forehead. It's cold in an operations room. Gain on the radio shot up. A voice or a sound, I don't know, crackled through the net. I watched one of Jtaks make a face in disgust, eyes fixed on the wailing coming from the speakers. A groan echoed in the room before Blaine yelled, "Turn that shit down." By now, my boss was in the room dumbfounded at what was going on. He stood there with his hands on his hips, watching the main screen at the center of the room. My phone rang again. It was my counterpart. His calm voice annoyed me. "Hey, the Russians called. They say it's not theirs." "Well, it ain't ours, or the spooks," I said. I triple-checked my systems. "Oh," he said. I could hear him eating chips or something miles away, safe from all of this. His breaths mixed with his steady crunches until I removed my ear from the phone. Rank be damned. A message came in from MSS Petro. I read it over the phone. Stingers up. They were going to shoot whatever it was. Contact 500 feet AGL, maintaining course. It's outside the gate. They had tactical authority, so all I could do was watch as I saw a man shoulder a missile. He aimed at what appeared to be nothing, and on the big screen in the room, he looked like an ant. Tar Heel BD firing. A picture flashed in the base defense chat room after the firing call. It was from MSS Petro. Before my eyes could adjust, I saw a plume appear on the big screen and I looked over my monitor. The missile had been fired. My world, everyone's world, went white. A flash blinded us. I squeezed my eyes trying to adjust to the sudden flash. Blaine was rubbing his eyes saying, "God damn it." The whole room had been blinded at once. Even those looking away from the screen rubbed their face as if dust was in their eyes. Yet our eyes didn't water. There was no way it came from our screens. Every speaker let loose a low and steady crackle just loud enough to make my stomach drop. Before I could gather my thoughts, a message populated in the chat. Visual lost. See picture. And then another. Contact lost. See picture now. I'm sure every station commander or captain of the watch in the chat room looked at it too. A metal gate was in the foreground with two soldiers shouldering a Stinger missile. Beyond the gate, well, I have a hard time remembering. It was bright. Gold and green and maybe blue like some ball of fire, yet it had a shape. I know there were straight edges to it. My eyes struggled to adjust to it. It was like fire with shape. WTF, someone commented. I was able to look away. I looked at Blaine and asked what I should do. His eyes didn't blink, but he shrugged. I guess we just report it to higher. So I took the image and wrapped it up in a fancy email. I asked my boss who it should go to and he smirked. "Fuck it, send it to the general. CC all of them, I'll back you." He gently slugged my shoulder and the email went out. Some general and his staff the next morning would read it and hopefully report back. It should have ended there. I wish it had ended there. Aliens or whatever it was should have stopped at that picture. Though, days went on and to be frank, we forgot about it. We were at war. There were more important things going on. Our mission was to ensure the defeat of ISIS, and damn it, that's what we did. Of course, we talked and spun up whatever conjecture we could think of in the operations center. Some claimed UFOs, and everyone would have to agree with the fact as our shifts ended and we went off to bed. Hell, I don't think any of us got much sleep after that. It was hard enough sleeping after the night shift, but now it was insomnia. Everyone had some sort of stomach issue or lapses in judgment. Sickness spread through our ranks in the night shift as we waited for our higher headquarters to respond to that damn email. But it had been weeks, almost 4 weeks to be exact, and it was all but forgotten. I would lay in my rack for hours trying to sleep, and just as my eyes were heavy enough I would hear a knock at my door. Each time I'd get up to find no one. We had our own domiciles or rooms made of cheap government construction. It was just someone messing around outside, I told myself. Just 3 more weeks until I'm home, I'd whisper to myself before each shift. There was no one to talk to. Either you list yourself as crazy and thus incompetent at your position, or keep your head low and do your job. Trust is fickle, and stress and anything less gets people hurt. So, we slowly dropped the topic when the nights were dull. Blaine wouldn't talk about it. He looked like a mess. He stopped shaving and the bags under his eyes grew larger each shift. One day he kept excusing himself. The vault door shutting every 5 minutes was getting on my nerves. God damn it, he mumbled under his breath. Tobacco fell from his lip as he picked at his arm. What's the matter? But the old man just grumbled and wouldn't look at me. Even one desk away his uniform seemed one size too big. Every movement he made his uniform ruffled. Blaine, I said, but he turned his back to me. Everyone's eyes began to peek over at Blaine. We argued, as politely as possible, but the invisible eyes and liquor made me yield to Blaine's demands. Keep our heads low, stay in touch after we redeploy, and forget about this, lest we become known for this instead of doing our jobs. Blaine was about 10 months to retirement. I was 193 months away from my retirement, or, if I chose, 3 months before the end of my active service. When the conversation ended, I asked about the hair. One final time he pulled it from his pocket. Light refracted into amber and gold, but I swear I saw white and green. I'm going to keep it, he said. Just in case, hell, I don't know what else. The docs, if you haven't noticed, only treat wounds, not foreign bodies. But someone, I mean, you're going to tell someone, right? Back home, stateside? Blaine narrowed his eyes at the hair and held it to the ceiling. Not until after I retire, he said. I'm telling you, and I mean this with all respect, sir, check yourself. This is the second one I found. A lump grew in my throat. I watched Blaine leave before I collected myself and followed him. No one else said anything until we conducted turnover with the day shift. 2. After the shift, I stood in front of the mirror and checked my body. The hair he pulled was long and mine was, well, normal. Nothing glinted in the single light over my mirror. I couldn't bring myself to comb my body hairs with my hands. The memory of sharp plastic implanted into Blaine's arm made me a coward. Trevor would confess he found something in his leg when he showed up late later in the week. The others kept their mouths shut, and I couldn't bring myself to tell them that it was all right. Especially when the radios turned on again, groaning out into the room. Again we lowered the gain and volume on the radios, but I kept the crew focused on the missions. We had ISIS and other malignant foes that needed justice. My boss secluded himself and we saw less of him with growing shift. When I did see him, it was evident he had lost weight and precious sleep. But his emails and orders still came through each night from behind his closed office door. Everyone seemed to mention that they haven't had a dream since the incident. We tried hard to forget, but after everyone began arriving 3 minutes late despite what our watches said, we knew this wouldn't be a secret. Yet, the crew just wanted to ignore it. Alex shrugged, I mean, watches can drift. Every night, although we slept in the day, the knocking grew louder. I'd closed my eyes briefly and found hours had passed, yet I felt like I had no sleep. Some nights I'd try to stay awake, waiting for someone to enter my room or catch whoever would make that noise, but I'd find the other members of night shift poking their heads out their rooms wondering the same. Every shift, I'd pull myself out of bed and slip into my uniform until one day, the 6th to last day, I pulled my trousers up and they snagged. A quick burst of pain rippled through my abdomen. Frozen, I tried again only for the same effect. Somewhere, amongst the hair of my belly was something hard and plastic. With my face flushed, I ignored it as part of the pact and my duty and went about the shift. When no one looked, I felt myself. Like a needle, something rigid poked against my uniform. I hid it. Like a coward, I ignored it. It festered into thoughts that weren't mine. In the waking hours my mind felt second to another voice that did not speak. As if something alongside me pondered as I tried to do my work. Before the shift ended my boss was picking something in the back of his head. I tried not to look but I could hear it. Each flick against the plastic in his head reverberated in my skull. I wanted to scream at him, tell him to stop or to just rip it out. After turnover I left as quickly as I could, skipping my meal. In the mirror I searched before I began to glide my hands through my hairs. They were thin and grabbed my fingers as I brushed through them. Though, as with Blaine, I found the cord and it echoed through my body. This innate, primal feeling screamed, "Pull it out. Pull it out." My nails were too short to grab it. Each attempt found my body hair. Soon clumps of hair fell to my bare feet as my skin turned red. A patch of bare skin was raw and rosy. In the middle of it was a small gold strand. I dug and dug, each time it slipped out of my grasp. I felt anger, aside from my own feeling of dread and fear. "Who's there?" I yelled but no one answered. I whimpered as I tore into myself freeing the hair. It was an inch long now. I gasped and tried to breathe slowly before reaching again. I pulled until it braced against my skin. I tugged a third time. Then again. "What do you want?" The room was empty. Only the AC sounded over my breathing. I tensed my stomach as I grabbed again. I let out a breath. A hair, bloody and long, withered between my fingers. I twisted it to the light for familiar colors to reflect back at me. My hand was heavy, too heavy for something so thin. The plastic hair blurred as I tried to look at it. Clarity came back to me but I couldn't seem to focus on the hard hair. I rolled it in my hand and poked it with my other. Of course, time would wind down and I would not sleep before my shift. I cleaned myself and the mess but left the hair to rest on the nightstand. It never moved nor left my sight. Relief mixed with unease drifted through me. I made time over the next day to see the base doctor. Casually, I explained the hair and just the hair. He frowned and looked at me. "A damaged hair follicle, lad," he said softly before eyes shifted to the hair. "You shouldn't have pulled it out, you oughta had nature take its course." After being given antibiotics he sent me on my way. Mistakenly I gave him the hair and watched him slip into medical gloves and place it on a chrome tray. I had 4 days left as I justified my actions. My remaining days in country would end and I'd redeploy. It was a combined joint command and when I left the operations center, the others went back to their respective units. We made our group chat over Signal and said our goodbyes. I watched one final time before boarding my plane, the tired eyes, dark from restlessness waving back to me. 2. I couldn't get the thought out of my head. Just weeks after redeploying, I made it my mission to feel myself for any more of those hairs. The hole from that follicle never healed back. Every day seemed to require a band-aid around the green bruising. I decided to leave the service. I don't know why. The decision was made as if I decided from afar. The VA offers counseling services for trauma. It's discreet and free, so I applied but was rejected. "This is stress," the therapist said. Her office was bland. Eyes seemed to be on the white walls of her office. The same eyes that watched me as I tried to fall asleep. "You had expectations," she continued, with her face buried in the notes she scribbled. "And they weren't met. Stress comes in many forms and I can say you have trichotillomania." "Doc. I'm not crazy." She waved her hand to stop me. No. 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 I'm not saying that. We all have stress and deal with it differently. I shouldn't have opened up to her. The disability check wasn't worth the side effects from her prescribed medications. I tossed and turned awake, catching glimpses of tall figures in my hallway before I would close my eyes. When I looked they'd vanish and my watch would skip an hour or more. 2. Oh, I know Blaine was right though I never asked him for updates. I found a second hair. In my armpits. I pulled until I bled. 3. Then I knew it was real. I wised up to shave around the spot as blades seemed to get stuck on it. Doctors and professors rejected the third and fourth hairs, but by the fifth one I found on me, the cameras in my room would skip or crap out. I turned my underwear inside out at night and I'd wake up with it flipped. The gun I slept with would be moved to my safe, so I slept with a knife. All for nothing. Who could I tell? There was no proof. The hairs? Well, after the local professors would rule me crazy, I mailed them via the postal service to out-of-state professors. People I knew were alien enthusiasts or fringe never responded or indicated they received my mail. Days later the mail would be waiting on my kitchen table to be mailed out. For a while, I gave up when people left the Signal group chat. Trevor went missing out of Hurlburt Field. I think Aaliyah is still in. Alex said, check your mirrors. But deleted the message shortly after and changed his safety number. Alex left after we argued about what we saw over MSS Petro. I eventually realized none of us had actually seen the object directly. Only the lights around it. My therapist recommended more medication. I swallowed it with my pride and asked the group chat for updates. Only Noah responded with a simple text. Blaine killed himself. I dropped my phone. He was the third one out of the 8 in the group chat. That was a day ago. I can hear them, through my phone or TV speakers. The static froth's words I cannot discern. Every recording, every attempt is deleted. Who, tell me, who can I tell? After all this disclosure, everyone thinks it's fake. Someone has the photo. 6. I can feel it. It's below my nose and within my mustache hairs. After this, well, it will be out. A feeling, old and speechless, tells me without words that this is my last one. The thought is blurry, but I can picture it in my head. Pulling, tugging on the hair. Its plastic pinched between my nails and halting at the edge of my skin. Don't pull it out. The speaker whispered the words without speaking. Or perhaps I just tell myself that. I am not sure which. Someone is coming and I don't know why. My face isn't recognized by my phone anymore. I could type my password in to call 911 or 988, but what's the point? 6. I can hear the knocking. It's coming from my mirror. I guess there you have it. That is my rant or story. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull the hair out. I pulled the 6th one out yesterday, and do not remember writing this. I guess I just need a break. I'm going to send this out and well, I'm not sure what to do next.